Okay, we're back. Pimping Craigslist for Fun and Profit. The Chrome edition. This is going to be really, really different than any other webinar that I've ever done. So, understand, you may be shocked. Okay, on another issue, they will be shorter. There'll be more sessions, but they'll be shorter. That way, you can get it and not be overwhelmed. So, with that, let's get this party started. Social media pimping. This is a common lament. I put my ad up on Facebook and no one even looked at it. Understand, a Facebook post or a tweet lasts anywhere from a few seconds to a few minutes, and then that's it. If you have friends that don't have a lot of friends, and when they log into their Facebook account or their Twitter account, they'll see your stuff because they don't have a lot of friends. But the more friends that you have and the more friends that your friends have, the faster your tweets and stuff will evaporate. And it's also not really effective because it's pretty much you're just taking something and throwing it into the wind. Sometimes someone may go, ooh, I like that. I like that. And other times they're going to ignore it. So you don't want to do it. I'm going to teach you how to make some sales on Facebook because things have changed. Things have changed crazy. Things have changed in the last 6 months because essentially with Facebook and their public offering, there were some things that did not go right, but they stayed committed, and there's some pretty cool things that you can do with Facebook. But understand, when I say social media, you do not have to become immersed in social media. I'm probably the anti-Gary Vaynerchuk, where, crush it, be everywhere, answer. No. You can use it the way that you want to. If you want to get on social media 24/7 and scream your name from the top of every social media skyscraper, go for it. But that's not my way. But it does work, but it also depends on what you're selling. But for those of you that want to have a life and also make some money, this is what we're talking about. And something else that's very, very important. As I was talking about last night in the webinar, there are so many people that are saying, hey, I am here and I need to make X amount of dollars. You have to start digging that well before you get thirsty, man. It's a bad thing to need water and the well's not dug. And that's what many people are doing. They've not built the well. They haven't created the aqueducts, and they're thirsty and they're going crazy. So essentially, we're going to start on a little well building. Now this is something different. And I'm going to give you a few examples how it's worked for me. Because the title of this one is Become Motherfucking Friendly. Social media has allowed us to create a number of very superficial relationships. They may even be less than superficial, which is really scary because you see it on Twitter, you see it on YouTube. There's people that have these huge followings, but the engagement level is not that good. It's just not because, people follow you and they're like, hey, I like that. But now I don't like that. There's a way around that. And that's by becoming motherfucking friendly. I'll give you an example of what happened. When I first started on Facebook, I did many things wrong. It's like, hey, I'm writing this book, let's network. No goals. No, it was just crazy. I mean, I had goals for my book and my blog and YouTube, written goals, but I had no written goals for Facebook, not one. So it was just a lot of wasted time because Facebook can be a huge time suck. And I noticed something. People would send me emails saying, hey, like my page, like this. And then when I would send them something, it was like, oh, I'm too busy. It's like, how in the hell are you going to ask me to like your page, but you won't like my page? What kind of crap is that? And it's very, very predominant because there are some people who can go from ashy to classy who can have a large following and they don't have to give back per se on a Facebook like or reciprocation on the Twitter front, but that's not most of us. And I noticed something, that the people on Facebook that I follow and I appreciate tend to give out quite a bit of information. They also tend to be relatable, because I have a few people that if they say, hey, the sky has a green streak in it, I'm not going to look up to see if the sky has a green streak in it, because I'm like, really? Because I have that much faith in them. And how you get that faith is really not as hard as you would think. We will address that a little later. But the deal is, you have to, act like a friend before you hit people up. Give you an example. Really good one. I do a lot of private messaging versus doing stuff on my Facebook wall, because it's way more effective in terms of engagement. And you can't do the mass email, the mass private message where you like tag like 30 people and there's this conversation. If you want to have a certain kind of conversation, you can. But the more people you tag, the more irritated people become. Do it one at a time. Because the thing is, if you act like a friend before you hit people up, they are about 70% more likely to do what you ask, if it fits into what they're doing with their lives. So I started, PMing people. It's like, look, I'm getting ready to do this. I'm getting ready to do this. Are you interested? Because the thing is, and this is a huge statistic, because a private message, depending on their settings, because Facebook's crazy, it's like an email. And I don't care what goes on with Twitter. I don't care what goes on with Facebook. The highest converting method of communicating people online is email. Number one, it kills everything else. It's like 80-90% above everything else. So you put a Facebook post and people are kind of like, if there's a cute picture of a baby or some big boobs, they may click on it, but the engagement level is not there. So I would email these people and I was like, hey, I got this project going on. And I was able to sell a course, which I did not advertise on YouTube. I did not advertise anywhere else. It's just, hey, this is this thing that's going on, and I'd like you to be part of it. And I emailed 100 people, and 54 people bought in. And that was only $10. Okay, it wasn't like I was breaking them over the head, but they showed me something. It was none of that in the front Facebook, which I still do, because the thing is, you can't do one at the expense of other. You have to do it all, if that makes sense. You have to do it all. So you're working on the front end where you have your fan page, you have your other stuff going on. But the private messaging, the emailing is way more effective. Now, I didn't really spend a lot of time doing this. It was pretty much, hey, how you doing? We haven't talked. A few email exchanges. And then I noticed that these people started liking my stuff on my public wall. It went way up. I mean, it was just like, I would post something and sometimes the conversation would be 30, 40, sometimes 50, 60 comments deep. That wasn't happening before. So if you're going to be a resale person, or you're going to start your own business, or you're going to do one of those things, you got to start becoming motherfucking friendly. You can't get around it. There are some mad geniuses who can be up in the evil lair and have that evil laugh, but that's not most of us. So you got to get out there, and you're going to have to relate in the public sphere. You're going to have to relate on the internet sphere, just to move this thing forward and to move whatever, because the thing is, if you're doing resale, if you're writing a book, whatever, this method works for everything. Now, this is another thing. This kind of goes back to goals, because for me, and when I'm teaching you stuff that worked for me, is you have to make this firm decision on what you're doing. Because, I see it all the time. People go on Facebook and they're just kind of like, throwing stuff out, right? It's just stuff's out there. It's out there. But there's no rhyme and there's no reason. And I was guilty of that. And it's really a lot of wasted time and energy. But, once I started kind of spreading my methodology to Facebook, like, okay, let's have a written goal plan here. I'll give you my Twitter policy. I hate Twitter. Really, I do. Because it's not like the people on Twitter are bad. It's a time thing for me. I receive a ton of emails as it is. And a Twitter is just a short email to me. So that's another thing that I have to answer. So my Twitter policy is, you follow me, I'm going to follow you back. But I use Twitter as a release mechanism because this is the setup. Whenever I do a post on my Facebook fan page, it goes to Twitter. Then sometimes, if the Twitter is working right, then it'll actually post on my personal Facebook page. When I do a post or a comment or something on YouTube, it shoots to Twitter. Then that comes to my Facebook page. It's this loop of stuff that's happening, and I'm working on writing better tweets better comments. Let me just be really correct with that. Like, I don't believe that you can have this wonderful conversation in 140 characters at a time. To me, that's just long and drawn out. But I do believe that if you put something that's unique, that has a little panache to it, and it hits Twitter, people are like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And they'll click on the video or they'll click on the Facebook post, which is happening more and more because I'm working on it. But that's my Twitter policy. I'm not going to go up there and just go back and forth with people and like, yo, I'm G Money, and I hate gerbils, and I'm not doing that. It doesn't work for me. And also, I've noticed that since I've really worked on better crafted comments, I'm getting better followers. I'm getting, people like, I'll look at my email and it's like, there's this person that's got 30,000 followers and they only following 10,000 people, but they are now following me. And it's just like I'm putting better and better and better content out there. So that's my Twitter policy. But for your Facebook policy, you need something. It's like, write it down. It's like, okay, I need a little social media. And understand, you don't have to be there all day. It's just like, hey, when I get off work, I'm going to spend an hour on social media. And by having a plan and using certain things that work for you. And another part, YouTube is the most active place that I am in terms of commenting because I like YouTube and that's my social media and it works for me. You have to figure out what works for you because it depends on your product, depends on your engagement level, depends on what you want to do. So you made that firm decision that, hey, I am a baker. Hey, I am a reseller. Hey, I sell chinchilla coats. Whatever it is, make that decision. Now, this is the other part. Many people want full-time income with a per diem effort, not even part-time. Because when I was working in the hospital, there were, I used to be full-time, part-time, and per diem. Per diem is if we have something and if you're available, let's get together. Whereas full-time was scheduled hours and part-time was scheduled hours. Many people want that full-time income with a per diem income, effort, and it's crazy. And then when it doesn't happen, they get nasty about it. I mean, just salty, just really, really upset, crazy about it. But it doesn't work that way. Never did, never will. Develop an income goal. Okay, using Facebook, using this stuff. When I say an income goal, there's different methodologies because some people are going to say aim for the stars, aim. I'm going to say, look, do this. You want to make an extra $400 a month and you're going to use Facebook. Okay. I want to make an extra $400 a month. I'm going to use Facebook, write it down. Then you find your product, your service, your price points, and you kind of work back. It's like, okay, $400 to my product's $25. So I need to sell 12. So you've got some metrics here. You got some stuff to work with because you have to get in the mix and kind of twist it up a little bit to see what works and what doesn't. But at least you have some direction. You kind of have a map, and that'll help you be more effective because it's like, okay, this is what I want to do. And I'm telling you, it's very powerful because most people are like, I just want to make a lot of money. I want to make as much money as possible. That does not activate the subconscious mind. It doesn't activate the universe. The universe is like, okay, he wants as much money as possible. Today we can give him a penny. Boop. What? You're not happy? You just asked for as much as possible. That's as much as possible. You weren't specific. Be specific. Now, this is some of the really cool stuff that made me scrap my earlier version of Pimping Craigslist and for fun and profit, because there's stuff on there that's just crazy good. Because Facebook's the new Craigslist. And it's crazy. I know. It's like, what? People are buying stuff on Facebook. But it started, with mostly female-driven products. And it's spreading because the garage sale fan pages and the yard sale fan pages are popping. They're crazy. So this is not to say abandon Craigslist and just do the garage. No. Because see, this is the thing that I want to break people from doing. It's like, hey, you've got this new pony, right? It's big, it's muscular, it's running hard. And then you want to leave the little fillies alone. No. Turn the fillies into pack horses, have them doing something else, but do not get rid of them. Continue to utilize them, because I see, I was having a conversation the other day on YouTube, and someone's like, there is no other site that replaces eBay. And I was like, well, you're right, because it's sites. Because if you think about it, if you had the money, would you invest millions and millions of dollars to create this site to compete with eBay, which already has a business model that's matured and is actually starting to retract? It would make no sense to just jump into that market to do what they're doing. And the thing is, there are several sites that are pulling traffic away from eBay, because you go into eBay, it's kind of crazy. Sometimes the search is so jacked up. Like if you're looking for cars, you have to be really specific or you'll just get all this crap. And a lot of people are like, well, let me go to the site that only sells that particular type of crap that I want. And, we went back and forth. And that's why I did the video the other day. The eBay killers here, and you're part of it. This Facebook deal, Craigslist, all these sites, they're pulling traffic away from eBay. And there's some people like, eBay's the best source to sell this and that. And to a degree, for certain things, it can be. But there are people with their own sites that are doing just as well. Because for me, the way I see it, eBay is a good place that you can go ahead and buy stuff really cheap and flip it somewhere else for more money. Because the expectation is that if it's on eBay, it should be cheap or the cheapest possible. And that hampers, because one point that came out of that conversation is the eBay execs hate the fact that their site is, roots are in yard sales and garage sales. That's how the thing got started. And they're trying to go to this highbrow thing. It's like Walmart trying to do a Neiman Marcus move. It's just not going to happen. You have built decades, going on decades now of this is what we do. And that's a hard pivot. It's a very hard pivot. But you have Facebook and their pages, and people are doing some very creative things. Because for those of you that don't want a website, you may not need one. Now, the deal with Facebook, and this is where it gets really cool. People tend to use their real names on Facebook, and that's very, very important for this conversation. When people are using like Jiggy J XYZ or Oracle 48, they tend to be crazy. They tend to say things they would not say under their real name. Because I got rid of all the people with the extra like, hey, this is Jimmy, I'm on top of that shit, Johnson. I noticed that people with those kind of names tend to keep up a lot of crap on Facebook because they want attention. But for people, regular folks who use their real names without the extracurricular syllables and consonants, you get a better experience. And also, they'll tell their friends, because someone can buy something from you and instantly tell their whole tribe. It's like, hey, I just got this great stuff, and it's seamless. And that's the thing with Facebook. And it's just like, well, who knew they're actually making it work? Because clearly they had some other plans that only those in the inner circle were privy to. And this is how you can develop repeat customers. And before I jump into that, at some point, really soon, we're going to have how to develop your own product. I talked about it briefly, but we're definitely going to have to do that, because while you're out picking and sourcing, because the thing is, I want you to look at your new life as you have 4 or 5 micro businesses under the umbrella of one. Because the thing is, go out there and do that wonderful thing. And for many people, they don't really want just one thing. They will become bored. So they kind of need that extra action. And the thing is, it all spins on the same axis. So, like, say, you're selling shirts, female shirts, then you can do shoes. Or if you're selling bracelets, you can do necklaces and rings. I mean, there's a certain symmetry there. But you want to get some items or services that you can develop to repeat customers. And the new Craigslist, Facebook, is going to be great for that. Because the thing is, when I was in sales, and it was one of the most frustrating things, you'll go ahead and you build up your sales funnel, and you'll make some sales. But because you're servicing people, trying to woo the sale and make the sale, you're not building up your sales funnel. So after the sales are made and done, then you have to build up your sales funnel again. So it was just like you're on this little treadmill. And that's one of the reasons that the storage auction business was so attractive to me, because the money was constantly coming in. It wasn't just like boom, boom, here he is, big hit, a lot of money, no money, a lot of money, feast or famine. It wasn't like that. Now, you could still go with those old school models, but the new economy is going to punish you. It dictates to, for you to do more, for you to get more. Now, this is something that's really there. Now, this is just one app. There's others. You can go ahead and have your fan page on Facebook and have it set up where people can buy directly from your page, and you don't need a website. Yes. And the thing is, now this is where, now you're on the Facebook platform. Let's make no mistake about it. But you're building your brand. And understand, this is relatively new, but see, Facebook's kind of doing some other stuff that, Amazon does and eBay does. Like, if you sell in a certain kind of category, they're going to recommend other similar pages. I know it sounds familiar, but the thing is, you have a greater chance of engagement with your customers with the Facebook page than you do with Amazon or Craigslist. No, Craigslist, you have to get to meet the people. But Amazon and eBay, because Amazon and eBay are doing everything in their power to keep you away from their customers, because that's what they are. They're Amazon's and eBay customers. And this actually gives you a shot at, really looking at your customer, creating campaigns, creating birthday, and so many things that it's a mesh of the old school economy with the new economy, because it works. Like, you go to a restaurant and it's like, hey, if you give me your email address, on your birthday, you get a free meal out of us. But in the meantime, in between time, we're going to send you other stuff. This is what you're going to be able to do. And this company takes care of everything. Now, I'm not recommending the company. This is just as an example to let you know that it exists. I have not used this company, but you don't even need a merchant account. As they saw, as I briefly saw in their literature, they was like, well, you can use PayPal, or you can set it up where people can meet you and they can pay. And so it's really interesting. And that's the thing, at some point you're going to deal with the merchant account. You're going to get one, because more and more people know that there's more options out there. So PayPal is not you got to have PayPal. And they're getting away from that. But I thought this was really, really nifty when I found it. And I haven't activated it on my page yet, because I'm in the process of really changing my business. There's a lot of different stuff that's going on. So when I get all that stuff hammered out and I get the new products out, then I'll put them there. And I'll also have them on my website. And I also will promote them on YouTube. Because the thing is, when you develop your plan and you have stuff, if each channel is just doing some things, just a little bit, it adds up to a nice whole. Because people find you in different buckets. Like with Amazon, there's a different group of people who buy Amazon print books. There's a different group of people who buy Amazon Kindle books. There's a different group of people who buy Audible books, which are, all three of these are Amazon. And then there's another group of people over in iTunes that if you're not in iTunes, they're not going to find you because they tend to live and play and do whatever they do in iTunes. So you have to be on these different platforms, but it sounds scary. It sounds overwhelming. But if you break the elephant into little pieces and do a little bit each week, before you know it, you'll be everywhere and you haven't killed yourself nor sacrificed your firstborn to some social media god. But these are some of the options. And, the thing is, I really want to change the name of the book, but I'm not, because it's primarily Craigslist, because that's going to be most of the content. But everything is reaching this point of convergence. It's all kind of starting to come together. So it's like, if you go ahead and just do eBay, you're doing it at your own detriment, because you need to blend this stuff together. So that is the session for today. If you have any questions about this webinar, session 1, just email me at glendon@storageauctionshogun.com. And what I'll do, and since this is going up today, as long as I get the question before the next session, it will be at the beginning of the session. And that's it. You have a great day, and I'll see you on the other side.